Hi, Nick here, and this is part 2 of my lesson on Barcelona by George Ezra. In part 2, we're going to look at the solo or instrumental section that comes after the second chorus in the song. If you haven't already checked out part 1, it's going to be something that we build upon here. I'll reference some of the picking patterns and chords that we already looked at there. So if you find that you're maybe a little lost and you haven't checked out part 1 already, you might want to go back and look at that first. Okay, so let's start off and talk about the chord progression here. It's a little bit unusual because we have a half of a bar in there. And what we start off with is 4 bars of the 1 chord, which again, we're in open D, and so that's going to be D. And then we have 2 beats or a half bar of D. So we have 4.5 bars of the 1 chord, and then we have 2 bars of the 4 chord, which in this key is G. Okay, so let's go over the melody notes now. All of these notes are on the first string, just like they were for the figure that we played in the verse. And in fact, it's going to start off the same way as that verse part that we saw in part 1 of the lesson. Again, all the notes are on the first string, so we're going to start with our first finger on the first string, 2nd fret. We're going to hammer onto the 4th fret with our 3rd finger. We're going to play the 4th fret note, kind of slide up. Again, this is one of those trailing off slides that we talked about in part 1. Then we're going to play the 9th fret note with our 3rd finger and pull off to our 1st finger on the 7th fret there. Play that 7th fret note again. Okay, so far this has been the same as that verse figure that we learned, but now we're going to use our 3rd finger to play this 9th fret note, and we're going to slide up to the 12th fret. Now this is not a trailing off slide where we kind of lose the volume. We want both ends of this slide to be audible, so to speak. Both the 9th fret note and that 12th fret note that we're sliding into. Okay, so far from the top, here's what we have. So after we slide into that 12th fret note, we're going to play it 4 more times. Then we're going to go to the 9th fret, kind of trailing off slide, 7th fret note, 7th fret again, and then we're going to play the 7th fret, hammer onto the 9th fret with our 3rd finger, and pull off back to our 1st finger. Okay, so let me back up a minute here to when we were on this 12th fret note. I think you want to be playing this with your 3rd finger again, because that's what we slid into it with. And then when we go back to the 9th fret note, again, make sure you're using your 1st finger for that, sliding down to the 7th fret, and then you can get that hammer on pull off there. If you have your 3rd finger here or some other finger, it's not going to work out as well with the fingering. Okay, so let's go back to the top here and see what we have so far. Okay, once we have that, we're going to play 7th fret note again, kind of slide down, trailing off slide to the 4th fret, and we're going to play 4th fret with our 1st finger, hammer onto the 5th fret with our 2nd finger, and pull off again. 4th fret note again, kind of slide down, trailing off slide. Now we're at the 2nd fret with our 1st finger, and we're going to hammer onto the 4th fret with our 3rd finger and then pull it off again. And then we're going to play the 2nd fret and pull off to the 1st string open. And then from there, we're going to play over the 4 chord or G, and that's going to be the same pattern that we saw for that chord with the verse. So this whole first part, the whole 4.5 bar part that we play over the 1 chord or D, goes like this. Okay, so I think the next thing we should do is just go ahead and combine this with the picking pattern. And again, we talked about the picking pattern in part 1. It's going to be the same here. 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. That's kind of the basis of what we're doing. And again, when we hit the 6th string, we're also going to kind of lightly brush the 5th string as well. Something else, again, we talked about in part 1. So let's just look at the first bar of the picking pattern on its own. This is the same as we saw in the verse in part 1. It's going to start out the same. So 6 and 1, hammer on, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Of course, you're sliding up. Then 6 and 1, pull off, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. Okay, so that's the first bar. Second bar is a little bit different. We got this 9th fret note that we're starting on now. So we're going to pick 6 and 1 and slide up to 12. Okay, so you want to make sure you're getting that 12th fret note. You're not going to pick it, but it's going to still sound through loudly. It's not going to trail off. Okay, so starting that second bar again, we have 6 and 1, slide up, 4, 3, then we have 6, 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. See, the third bar, what we have is this pattern where we're going 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6 and 1, 4, 3, 6, 1, 4, 3. So that's a little bit different. And then we get into these hammer-on and pull-offs, which start in the 4th bar of the solo or instrumental here. So we're going to have 6 and 1, hammer on, and then as we pull off, we're going to play the 4th string at the same time. So that's, then we play the 3rd string note. Then we have 6, 1, 4, 3. And again, that same pattern, we're going to have 6 and 1, hammer on, and then as we pull that note off, we're going to pick the 4th string at the same time, and then the 3rd string. Then we have again 6, 1, 4, 3, slide down. And with this hammer on and pull off, same thing. 6 and 1, hammer on, pull off, and 4th string note at the same time, 3rd string. Then we have 6, 1, and we're going to pull off to the 1st string and pick that 4th string note in the bass at the same time, and then pick the 3rd string. Okay, so let's count through this solo section now. We're going to count it out in 16th notes, which we can count out as 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And again, we're not going to play generally with our right hand the E of 1 or the E of 3. However, we may see a hammer-on or a slide that has a note in that particular beat, but generally we're not going to play it with our right hand. And what we have here rhythmically, the first bar and I think the second bar for the most part start out mostly the same. On that second bar, we're not going to be playing anything on the E of 3, so we do kind of feel that part of the groove there. And then when we get to the third bar, we have a count that's going to be 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 E and a. So we're not going to play the E of 1, 2, or 3. And I think that's kind of what adds some of the, rhythmic punch to this little instrumental section here. And then starting in the fourth bar, and that little, I guess the fifth bar is actually a half bar, we have the whole sequence where we're doing these hammer-ons and pull-offs. And because we're doing those, that's going to mean that we're occupying pretty much all the beats for the rest of it. So let's go ahead and count this out now. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, so again, what we're doing with the 4 chord or G there is going to be exactly the same as what we did in the verse, and we went over that in part 1, so nothing different there. Okay, so let me just play through it slowly here for you one more time. Okay, so that's how you play the solo or instrumental section for Barcelona by George Ezra. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Okay, another bonus thing I thought I would talk about here is adding the second string in to the song. So we left it out of the picking pattern that we were using, and I think if you do want to play the second string, it sounds okay for all of these chords. Obviously open, it's part of the chord. Doesn't sound too bad. So that could give you something to fool around with once you're comfortable playing the song. You might want to experiment with adding the second string in here and there to your picking pattern to see how it sounds. Something to play around with there for you.